let's move from this topic to the next one, which is clear properties of context-free language. So I'll start with clear under union. So my question to you guys is, are context-free languages closed under union?
Yes, sir.
I think they are closed under union.
They are closed under union. Okay, good. Okay. So we can say that for context-free languages L1 and L2, their union would also be a context-free language. So for example, we have a grammar 1 which has a start variable S1. And then we have a lot of rules. So for example, I have some sort of grammar like this. S1 implies some non-terminals and terminals. Then we have maybe, S implies some terminals, non-terminals. And we keep on going with a lot of rules. And then I have maybe, I would not say S, maybe I can say Q. I would change the name of the variable. Q implies some other terminals and non-terminals. So this means that I have a grammar 1, G1, okay, for which S1 is the start variable. And then I have a lot of rules. And its corresponding language is L1. And similarly for the second context-free language, L2, I can have a grammar 2, for which S2 is the start variable, and then we have a lot of rules as well. What kind of grammar we can design for the case of language L1 union L2? And that is, guys, quite simple. You introduce new start variable, that would be S, and one new rule as well. That would be S implies S1 or S2. In the case of union, we have a flexibility. Either S could be replaced with S1 or it could be replaced with S2. So this is the only new rule that you would be adding for the case of L1 union L2. And the rest of the rules, S1 implies a lot of rules, S2 implies a lot of rules, they would come as is. So these rules are belonging to grammar 1 and these rules are belonging to grammar 2. They would come as is. The only rule that you would be adding by introducing new start variable is S implies S1 or S2. So since we have a union, that's why this rule would be or rule over here. So if we have a grammar for L1 union L2, that would look something like this. So we can say that the union, the given languages are closed under union operation. So clear means their union should also result into some sort of context-free language. Now my next question is, are they closed under concatenation as well?
Yes, sir.
Indeed, it is closed. So which means that if you have two context-free languages, L1 and L2, so their concatenation L1, L2 is also a context-free language. So how would you prove that? What kind of grammar you would be getting for L1 concatenated with L2? That is quite simple, as we did for the case of union. So you take context-free language L1, so definitely you can design a grammar G1 as well, that having S1 as a start variable, and then you have a lot of rules as well. And similarly for the case of language L2, guys, you can design grammar 2 as well, and that is having a lot of rules as well. But important thing is it is having S2 as start variable. And you can design a grammar for L1 concatenated with L2 as well. How would you design that? You introduce a new start variable as over here, guys. And that would be replaced with concatenation of S1 and S2. And then this S1 rules and these S2 rules, they are coming from grammar 1 and grammar 2. So I added only one rule, that is concatenating both of the start states and introducing a new start variable. So this means that it is closed under concatenation operator. Now moving next towards the third operation, intersection operation, guys. Is it closed under intersection operation or not? So
No, sir.
Okay, no. Good.
No.
So the answer to this question is no. Now, if you consider this kind of language as L1, this is a context-free language, and I could design its corresponding context-free grammar that would look something like this. I'm taking one more language L2, and this is again a context-free language because I can design its corresponding grammar as something like this. How could you prove that this is the correct grammar that I designed. You take any string from this language, you start from start variable s, and you try to derive that string. You will see every string of this language would be derived from this grammar. That's why you can say this is the context-free language. Now I have taken L1 and L2 as two languages, guys. I would take an intersection of these two languages. That would look something like this. And this is not a context-free language, guys. Why? We have a formal proof for this that uses pumping lemma. But more informally, guys, you take this language L and you try to construct its corresponding context-free grammar. You would not be able to come up with this corresponding context-free grammar. So this is how I can say if you have some sort of languages L1 and L2, their intersection would not be a context-free language. And this means that context-free languages are not closed under intersection operation. So we have one more operation that is known as complement operation. Is it closed under complement operation? This is context-free. Ultimately, this is not closed. And I would prove this, why it is not closed. We would prove this by contradiction. So how would I start up things? I'll start with step 1. And by De Morgan law, I know that. L1 intersection L2, if I take complement of that, that would be equal to L1 complement union with L2 complement. So by De Morgan law, this is true. I don't need to prove this again. If I take a complement on both sides, here as well as here, so that would give me step 2. And I could remove both of complements over here on the left hand side. That would make it as L1 intersection with L2, and this complement would remain over there at its space. Okay, so I would bring this step 3 onto the next page now here. Now there is some sort of left hand side L1 intersection L2. Is it closed or not? Is it a context-free language or not?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. Now apply contradiction on the right side of the step 3. How would you apply that? We would assume that complement operation is closed. We would assume that complement operation is closed. This means that L1 and L2 both are closed under complement operation. So we are saying this is true. We are saying this is true. This is closed. This is what we are assuming, okay? So under this assumption, guys, the left side should also be closed. But is it closed or not?
No, sir. No, sir.
No, sir.
So this means that the assumption that we took, the right side is closed, this is not true. So what do you mean by that? This means that it's a contradiction. Actually, this is not closed. So this is what we want to prove. So this is not closed, so this means that the complement operation would not provide you a context-free language.